Lots of questions being raised ever since Adnan Syed walked out of prison on Monday morning. New evidence, new suspects, all giving new life to a case that seemed all but completely closed. Just yesterday, we showed you how even the Attorney General has questions about Marilyn Mosby's motives in releasing Syed. WJZ Investigator Mike Hellgren spoke with Syed's defense attorney about all of these things. He's live outside UB Law School tonight. Mike, what did you learn from that interview?
Nikki, she's also the director of the Innocence Project here and says in 80% of cases in Baltimore City where a defendant is exonerated, prosecutors failed to turn over the required information to defense attorneys. Critical evidence. She says that's exactly what happened with Adnan Syed.
23 years later, we now know what Adnan and his loved ones have always known, that Adnan's trial was profoundly and outrageously unfair.
Erica Suter's passionate words outside the courthouse came from years of fighting. She never gave up on Adnan Syed as his attorney and the director of the University of Baltimore Innocence Project. She sat side by side with Syed as the judge threw out his conviction for the murder of Hae Min Lee.
It was overwhelming. Adnan started to cry. I started to cry. I was thankful for having that minute as the courtroom cleared to try to get myself together. It was surreal. I think it's important and it matters that somebody stand up and say out loud for the whole world to see that Adnan Syed is innocent.
The evidence that cleared him had been in the prosecution's files for years, but wrongfully never turned over to the defense. Notes of interviews with suspects, one of whom threatened to kill Lee.
It is striking and it should shock the conscience, but it is alarmingly common.
We're not withholding them from anybody.
In an exclusive interview with WJZ, Attorney General Brian Frosch denied failing to turn over evidence, leading State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby to slam him for what she called a prosecutorial failure.
It is troubling to me that sort of the conversation is getting shifted to finger pointing. What we know is that there were notes in the prosecutor's file that were handwritten that should have been with the defendant.
Suter says Syed turned down a plea deal from the Attorney General a few years ago. He told her he could not live a lie.
I think what he'd said was that he'd be trading one prison for another. You know, he would have his so-called freedom, but he would now forever be looked at in this way, and he knew that it wasn't the truth.
Now Syed is back with his family, waiting to see whether prosecutors will put him on trial again.
He's really just taking it step by step. He has so many people who support and love him, and he's really taking his time processing everything.
Now, this is not yet over. Marilyn Mosby still has 27 days to decide whether or not to ask for a new trial. She says she is waiting for more DNA evidence, test results to come in. Reporting live at UB Law School, Mike Hellgren, WJZ.
Thank you, Mike. Now be sure to watch our special on Adnan Syed's release, streaming tonight at 7:30 on CBS News Baltimore.